We will now see how we can animate parts in IronCAD. I will open our engine, this one, click open. This engine has been used before to create an exploded view. And we come down here to the configurations. We have configuration exploded view. And we also create another configuration, and we'll use this configuration as a reference. So I will click configuration button and click create. We call this a configuration animation. Like so. I will check this box and this one too, because we want to store the positions of the parts. Click OK, and I will click close. So now we see that animation is the active configuration. Then we'll also hide the explode view, or explode lines, sorry. Click the explode lines here in the scene browser, right click to suppress, like so. And we will see now how we can animate the parts. To begin, I will show you how to use the smart motion here in the animation catalog. If you don't see this animation catalog here, you can click this button. You will find it here, animate. And this is a collection of predefined movements. You can use these animations just to drag and drop on the part in the scene, and you will animate them. I will give you an example. First of all, I will select the part here in this assembly, this part I want to animate. And to select the part directly, I can press and hold the Control key and then click the part. I will click the cylinder to have it selected when I drag the smart motion and drop it on the cylinder. Otherwise, I will animate the whole assembly. I will drag a height move and drop it on the cylinder here. And when we do that, we see this white line. It is the path for the animation. If I click the path, we'll also see the grid where the path is attached to the origin of the grid. If I select the endpoint of the path, we will see a preview of the cylinder. And this endpoint you can drag freely in the space, but to move the endpoint to an exact position, it is better to use the tribal. When the endpoint is selected, you can turn on the tribal and you can drag the handles to position the endpoint in the right position if you want. I will turn off the tribal. When the cylinder is selected, I will also drag a height spin and drop it here on the cylinder. And now we see the grid for the height spin and also the path for the height spin. If I deselect and select the cylinder again, we don't see we see only one path because the two paths are placed on top of each other. But we can see the height spin arrow here, what spinning direction it is. So to see the animation now, we have to come up to the visualization tab. Here we have the animation section. If we click on, then we activate the animation. If we click play, we can see the animation. It will look like this. And also we have a slider we can drag to see the animation. When this button is activated, we cannot select anything here in the scene. It is locked. To select, we have to uncheck this box or this button. Now we can select the whole assembly. If we click the Smart Motion editor, we will see here the cylinder, and the cylinder has Smart Motion attached to it, so that's why we see the cylinder here. So when we select the cylinder here, we also select the cylinder in scene. If we right click the cylinder, we can expand. We can also double click this group, the cylinder group, because inside the cylinder here we have height move and height spin. If we right click the cylinder, we have properties. And here in the properties we see that the length of the animation is 2 seconds. We can also choose to change the start time for the animation. now set to 0, it means that when we click play, it will start immediately. I click cancel, and if we right click the height move, we have properties, and here we see the length of the animation for height move is 2 seconds. It's the same as for the whole animation time. We have also time effect for the height move. We click here, we can see that we can choose linear or accelerate or decelerate, ease in or ease out, and so on. There is also some settings for the path here, but we will concentrate on the General tab. Click OK. To extend the animation time, we can select the cylinder group and move the cursor to the end. We see a double arrow cursor. We can grab this endpoint and drag to extend the time. You see now it is 70 frames. If we click time, we will see how many seconds it is. I will grab the endpoint here and drag it to 5 seconds. And can you see that it is 5 seconds? If we right click the cylinder group, properties, we see now here length is 5 seconds. If we right click the height spin, we have also properties. We can also change change the starting time for the height spin. For example, if I want this height spin to start after 2 seconds, if I now click here, we'll have a message that says segment start time will move its end beyond parent track's end. Of course, it cannot be 5 seconds here and 5 seconds here and 2 seconds here. In total, there will be 7 seconds. So the total time for the animation is 5 seconds. So it means 2 plus 3. Now we will see, I click OK, and I close this Smart Motion Editor. I click on, and I also click play. Now it will look like this. It is the same length of the path, but it takes 5 seconds to animate this path. And as you saw, the height spin will start after 2 seconds. So I will go back to Smart Motion Editor, and if we right click the empty area here, we can and click the properties, we see this is the properties for the whole animation. Now it's frame rate 15 seconds, but I will turn that to 30 seconds to get a smoother animation. And also we see that the time length is 300 seconds. So I click OK. Now you see that the frame rate, or the frames, more frames than before, but we have to move this to 5 seconds. We can right click, properties, type 5, click OK, and the frame is 30 frames per second. I will close, I'll click on, I will click play, like so. We have a smoother animation. So, well, I will go back to the Smart Motion Editor. I will right click this one to clear. Yes, I want to remove the animations for the cylinder. And in the next video, we will see how we can animate the parts here in this scene. So I will save this scene first.